Heureux de vous retrouver. Il est 12 heures à l'écran de l'actualité. La CRTV vous informe. Bienvenue à cette session d'information bilingue. Bonjour Emmanuela.
Bonjour Mohamed.
Vous déroulez les faits majeurs de l'actualité.
Exactly. Cameroonians remember in celebration the passing of one of their finest saxophonists, musician and songwriter Manu Dibango. Today marks a year after the demise of the legend, icon and a true inspiration to many who today have organized events to honor his passing. So Makossa, Sango Yesu and many other successful tracks of the legend shall vibrate tonight at the CRTV Production Center in Balatu in a special event to mark him. The Cameroon Democratic Movement blows another candle today as it clocks 36 years of existence. The party in power is marking the anniversary in all sobriety due to COVID-19 spread. But what has maintained the CPDM in power over the years? Find out in this newscast. Our guest on this edition of the news is Cameroon's Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, shall be edifying our viewers on the several acts of indiscipline rife in schools in Yaoundé and across the country, as well as measures taken to curb the situation from repeating in future. Those are our major stories.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Et en ouverture du 12h, des bougies pour le Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais ce 24 mars. Le RDPC a 36 ans. Un anniversaire qui consacre un parcours exaltant sur l'échiquier politique national. Le parti du Flambeau Ardent joue les premiers rôles, majoritaire au Parlement ainsi que dans les conseils municipaux et régionaux. De l'avis des experts, au moins 2 raisons militent en faveur de cette constante. L'antériorité sur la scène politique et la ligne directrice du parti. Augustin Guizana.
Aux toutes premières élections des conseillers régionaux au Cameroun, le Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais s'en est tiré au soir du 6 décembre 2020 avec plus de 600 sièges sur l'étendue du territoire national. Le RDPC hisse la flamme au sommet du succès politique d'année en année. Les observateurs avertis de la scène politique mettent cette constance à l'actif de l'antériorité du parti sur la scène politique nationale.
La force du RDPC vient de son histoire. Il faut commencer à dire que le RDPC est héritier de l'UNC, qui avait déjà un maillage national, une envergure nationale, une implantation nationale.
Et quand on parle de 1985, on comprend que nous étions dans la période du monolithisme politique, dont le RDPC est un ancien parti unique qui a donc une antériorité sur les autres formations politiques. En tant que parti unique, donc, il a eu l'avantage d'une implantation territoriale nationale.
L'autre clé des succès électoraux, c'est la ligne directrice du RDPC, avec en prime la structuration du parti et sa discipline, des facteurs déterminants de la force de conviction et de la séduction selon les observateurs.
Il n'y a pas de parti politique sans démocratie interne. Et cette démocratie interne a comme levier principal la discipline. La discipline permet de canaliser les militants vers un idéal commun. La discipline permet de rendre à l'évidence des dispositions relatives, par exemple, aux investitures, qui sont querellées, mais qui contribuent à canaliser les militants vers les choix décisifs, les choix qui répondent sur une seule question fondamentale. Quel est le meilleur d'entre nous qui peut représenter notre formation politique?
Ce parti se situe au niveau des aspirations du peuple.
Les observateurs de la scène politique nationale présentent le président national du parti, Paul Biya, comme un véritable atout.
Le degré de sympathie que l'on a du président Biya est une évidence au sein du RDPC. Par conséquent, c'est un atout. Maintenant, au-delà de cette sympathie, il faut comprendre que le président Biya justifie au moins d'une soixantaine d'années, 60 ans d'expérience politique. Alors quand vous avez un président comme celui-là, vous imaginez bien qu'il a la maîtrise des rouages, de tous les rouages politiques, et ce n'est pas l'organisation d'une structure politique comme le RDPC qui peut échapper à l'expression de son talent.
Né le 24 mars 1985, le RDPC est dans la logique de ce que les victoires de demain se préparent aujourd'hui. Et justement aujourd'hui, il est au cœur de la validation des sommiers politiques. L'opération a commencé le 13 mars et s'achève le 13 avril 2021.
Et ce 24 mars est également journée mondiale de la tuberculose. La 28e édition célébrée sous le thème « L'horloge tourne » donne l'occasion aux 12 heures de rappeler que diagnostiquer à temps cette pathologie qui a tué 1121 enfants en 2020 est soignée rapidement et gratuitement au Cameroun. Laetitia Onana.
La tuberculose est l'une des maladies contagieuses les plus meurtrières dans le monde.
Les signes, c'est si quelqu'un a une toux qui commence à crainer, une fièvre, un amaigrissement, une fatigue.
En 2020, le Cameroun a diagnostiqué plus de 22 000 cas pour près de 1200 décès, dont 1125 sont des enfants. La prise en charge est pourtant gratuite et rapide dans 261 formations sanitaires, rassure-t-on au Programme national de lutte contre la tuberculose.
Dès que vous êtes diagnostiqué la tuberculose, on va vous mettre ce traitement qui est disponible et vous allez guérir de la tuberculose.
Pour tordre le cou à cette pathologie qui touche de plus en plus les enfants en bas âge, le ministère de la Santé, par le biais de ce programme, prescrit, outre le vaccin, un traitement préventif.
Nous vaccinons pour le BCG dès la naissance. Le traitement préventif existe chez nous. La molécule, c'est l'isoniazide. Elle est en direction des enfants de 0 à 5 ans qui vivent à côté d'un cas de tuberculose, sont mis sous isoniazide pendant la période que son parent ou sa relation est toujours sous traitement. Et aussi en direction des personnes vivant avec le VIH-Sida, parce qu'en fait, c'est des personnes à risque.
Le port du masque de protection, la désinfection des mains et des autres surfaces infectées sont également requis pour atteindre au moins 90% de guérison d'ici 2030.
On to one of our lead stories now. It was at this time last year that the saxophonist was called to eternity by God. The icon, a legend in this art, Manu Dibango, was taken to eternity after suffering from coronavirus. 1 year on, Cameroonians are yet to find the right words to qualify the demise of the international musician, saxophonist and songwriter. His life is being celebrated, his legacy conserved through musical events planned tonight, one of which will take place at the CRTV Production Center here in Balatu and elsewhere around Yaoundé. Manu Dibango 1 year after, Victor Siga.
March 24, 2020, March 24, 2021. Once upon a time was Cameroonian music icon Manu Dibango. The legendary saxophonist journeyed to eternity at the age of 86 after contracting the coronavirus. Emmanuel Njoke Dibango, his real name, was a songwriter, singer and producer whose innovative jazz melodies and wide-ranging collaborative work played a significant role in introducing European and American audiences to the sounds of African rhythms. Born in Douala, Cameroon, to parents of Douala and Yabasi ethnic groups, his contribution to the development of modern music cannot be overstated. The founding member of the Congolese Rumba group, with 44 albums in his lifetime, was honored by the United Nations as a UNESCO Artist for Peace. The Afropolitan musical genius and Cameroon jazz pioneer left a huge legacy spanning more than 60 years of musical production that will continue to echo all over the world.
On to Something else now, Cameroon remains a reliable partner for Britain to do business in multiple fronts. The statement was made yesterday by the British Minister for Africa following an audience granted him by External Relations Minister Lojeune Mbela. Charles Ebune has more.
One of the bills tabled by the government yesterday in Parliament deals with the new economic partnership agreement between Cameroon and the United Kingdom in the post-Brexit era.
Congratulations on your government for working with us so quickly. These things do take a while.
The British Minister for Africa at the newly created Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, James Durbridge, was received by the most senior staff of the Ministry of External Relations, headed by Minister Mbela.
Cameroon is 16th of 54 African nations that have signed the economic partnership agreements, either bilaterally or collectively.
Also in attendance at the audience was the Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu.
Cameroon is a strong partner economically, a strong partner in the Commonwealth, a strong force for good in the region, in the UN, in the African Union.
Cameroon and the United Kingdom enjoy a partnership which only history can tell better.
Deliberations continue at the Yaoundé Conference Center, where the Lower House of Parliament has been meeting for their March session. And for that, we shall be looking at what is the updates out there as at now. And we are joined by our reporter, Clarence Nge, who is live at the Yaoundé Conference Center. Hello, Clarence.
Good afternoon to you, Emmanuel Avonio. It is another busy day out here at the Yaoundé Conference Center, precisely at the National Assembly. We have a number of 6 bills that are on the table out here. Among these bills, we have a bill submitted by the Minister of Justice and that of External Relations, to authorize the President of the Republic ratify the extradition agreement between the Republic of Cameroon and the Federative Republic of Brazil. This exercise actually is being handled by the Foreign Affairs Committee, and it is taking place at the committee room here at the Yaoundé Conference Center. We also have finance and social welfare related bills that are on the table, and we expect to see the Minister of Social Affairs, who will be talking, amongst others, the issue of street children, and of course the Minister of Finance, who will definitely be talking about the financial situation of the country, maybe the budget. We know the present health challenge, the COVID-19 that has been causing a lot of havoc in the country. We were told also that the Minister of Decentralization, and Local Development will must have ended reporting for the midday news here at the Yaoundé Conference Center. I am Clarence again.
Merci Clarence. Et dans la suite de ce journal, 1 an déjà que le souffle de Papa Groove a été interrompu par le coronavirus. Manu Dibango, l'un des piliers de la musique africaine, s'est éteint le 24 mars 2020. Au terme d'une carrière de 60 ans, la chaleur de sa voix, toujours dans nos mémoires, n'a pas séché les larmes parties sans jamais nous quitter. Manu nous manque. Voici les mots émus de Steve Tchega et Kembenge.
Cet intime souffle à son saxo rythmait l'ultime tournée de sa vie, la dernière avant la fin. Safari symphonique où Manu Dibango raconte en musique 60 ans de carrière, son épopée chantée par l'Orchestre National de Lyon et son Soul Makossa Gang. Cette belle histoire, Gaston Kellman l'avait déjà racontée dans Ballade en saxo, le livre qui accompagne l'album éponyme. Écrire sur les coulisses de sa vie, c'était déjà un hommage.
La musique est un langage écrit, c'est pour ça qu'il faut écrire sur Manu.
Le temps est vite passé. 1 an après, toujours pas de grand hommage. La faute au Covid qui a vidé Manu de son souffle ce 24 mars-là. Mais ce n'est pas ce Covid qui a fauché l'hommage que le pays voulait lui rendre de son vivant pour ses 60 ans. Hommage manqué d'hommage. De l'avis des critiques, pour célébrer Manu, l'homme et l'œuvre, il faut toute une semaine de colloques.
Manu mérite tout un colloque international à travers lequel on va inviter et des experts des questions de musique et des experts de Manu.
Mais jusqu'ici, beaucoup de fausses notes et bémols altèrent l'harmonie de cet hommage attendu. Papillon a essayé, mais il a été désavoué après un bras de fer entre la famille et lui. Le ministère des Arts et de la Culture a promis un grand hommage. En attendant, les fils de Manu donnent le ton. De Justin Beauvais à André Manga.
Et c'est le morceau qui m'a fait connaître finalement.
Prière de lui rendre hommage.
Invitant aux prières du soir.
Manu a rejoint son bassiste Noël Ekwabi et les autres. Mais il nous a laissé la playlist de ses délices. Il est donc parti sans jamais nous quitter. Manu nous manque en ce triste anniversaire. Sans commentaire, Manu, the simplest, the oldest, the greatest.
Manu éternel dans nos cœurs, venons-en à cette alliance qui va mettre en insécurité permanente les acteurs du terrorisme et de la criminalité transnationale. La police camerounaise et le GIZ montent au front. Un atelier devant permettre d'harmoniser la riposte s'est ouvert à Yaoundé. Pierre Binambarga.
Tout un programme pour le renforcement des capacités de la Délégation générale à la sûreté nationale. L'atelier organisé conjointement par la DGSN, représenté par le commissaire divisionnaire Boniface Meke, et la GIZ, elle représentée par Stephen Ruff, en lieu et place du directeur résident de la GIZ au Cameroun. Eh bien, cet atelier a pour objectif renforcer les capacités institutionnelles et professionnelles des autorités de la police sur la base de l'état de droit. Le cours contribue ainsi à la lutte contre la criminalité transnationale organisée et le terrorisme dans les pays africains. Tous les maillons de la chaîne pénale se retrouvent pour des échanges pragmatiques et réalistes. La police judiciaire est renforcée dans sa capacité d'engager des poursuites contre les infractions de manière professionnelle et ce, en conformité avec les lois. La coopération entre la police et d'autres acteurs de la chaîne pénale est renforcée et contribue à la conformité légale des procédures d'enquête.
Malgré nos efforts, le Covid-19 a endeuillé de nombreuses familles et provoqué de graves difficultés dans le fonctionnement de notre économie et de notre société.
We go back to one of our lead stories. The CPDM party is 36 today, and political experts in the country have credited the consolidation of the leadership of the CPDM party on the political landscape to the institution of party discipline by the chairman, Paul Biya. The party that was born on March 24, 1985, is based on structures that group supporters from the level of the cell to the political bureau. Let's now listen to some of the experts.
It's the organization of the party. You know, when you observe the life of CPDM or the organization of CPM, you soon remark that till the background to the up, there is an organization. And this organization supposes that there is a discipline. You know, the first or the most strange of CPDM is the party discipline, where the head of the party gives rules and tolls which are used by the huge party.
The line of the party permits all the supporters to be in cohesion with the hierarchy of the party. Without line of the party, we cannot have a political party. We cannot have a cohesion between the hierarchy. In this case, the chairman of the CPDM with all the supporters. We cannot have a discipline of the party. Then the line of the party is very, very important, and the line of the party is the strength of the CPDM.
On to something else now. 15 students from 4 schools in Yaoundé were recently apprehended in a residence in a Kia neighborhood, indulging in group sex and consumption of alcohol. Suspected by neighbors for practicing OGs, 7 of the 15 students are of legal age, while others minors and have been charged on 3 counts. Cynthia Saptara comes back to that story.
The scene took place in this residence at a quay in Yaoundé. The neighbors had alerted the head of the neighborhood that a strange activity was going on in here involving a number of students who should have been in their classrooms.
It's been going on now for over 5 months. The population had noticed students from different secondary schools coming here on motor taxis as early as 7:30 a.m. when the proprietor had left for work. After making the observation myself, I realized what was going on was abnormal, so I had to call police officers to intervene.
One of the major witnesses and author of the video of the arrest was this neighbor, who says the sounds coming from the house drew their attention and confirmed the belief that the children were involved in orgies. He says, though he tried on several occasions to caution the kids on their behavior, he was sometimes met with threats. And out of the 15 apprehended, 7 were boys, all adults, and 8 girls, minors, and from 5 students at the GBHS Ekunu.
We are so sorry to be involved in such a phenomenon. Once the video was out, we were able to identify the girls involved, and their parents have been called to an extraordinary disciplinary council where the fate of the girls will be decided.
The principal also adds that the girls in question were immediately sent home to wait for the decision taken by school authorities. As for the boys, one of which was the nephew of the proprietor of the residence and said organizer, they were apprehended by elements of the 14th District Police Station situated in Ekunu. According to the police authority, though investigations are still ongoing, they have been charged with the illicit consumption of drugs, corruption of minors, and the absence of identification. Given it involves adults as well as minors, all 15 await the decision of the Public Ministry State Council.
With such immoralities and acts of deviant behavior recorded in schools around the country, our guest on this edition of the Midday News is the Minister for Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga. In a chat with our reporter, Baldwin Sama, she comes back on this worrisome situation and measures taken to curb the spread.
Thank you very much. As you rightly announced, we are receiving as guest this morning Professor Nalova Lyonga. She is the Minister of Secondary Education. Let's not talk about what has been making headline news recently with cases of indiscipline, acts of indecency in some schools, so especially Government Bilingual High School Kribi and Government Bilingual High School Ekunuye in Yaoundé. We know you to be a preacher of discipline, Madam Minister. Tell us how disturbing for some of these cases of this indiscipline been to you as Minister of Secondary Education?
Very disturbing, but I'm not surprised because it's the times. We expect all of this to happen. You know, with technology and all that is going on, children are exposed to a lot of things. That is why I tell children and their parents. I tell parents especially. I say there's no taboo because the children know it all. You know, you may say, oh, I don't want to discuss sex with my child because I don't want her to be exposed to that. That's a lie. The child knows it. The child has seen it. And in most cases, the child has done it. So let's not pretend. So I am not surprised at all. I am surprised at the way we parents approach it. Because we have to discipline the children. We have to educate the children. When you don't do that, you are in real trouble. So, as somebody who likes discipline, yes, I do. That is why I went myself to Ekunu, because I had to see the 8 girls who were involved in this whole matter. You know, and I asked them to bring them to me, and I saw them, and I discussed with them. You know, what is the idea of sex? What is this? Do you need sex at this point in time? Why were you going to a boy's house? You go to a man's house. You go and wear your kaba in a man's house. Why were you? He brought a suitcase for you, those of you who wanted to wear kabas, to wear kaba. Do you know why you're wearing a kaba? Because you want to be at ease. You want to be at ease in a man's house in order to do what? Why were you trying to be at ease? And some of you were cooking. Some of you were dancing. Those who were dancing, I asked, what were you dancing? Dancing for what? Were you supposed to be studying or were you supposed to be dancing? And you wear your kaba, and you go and buy food, and you're cooking food in a man's house, somebody you don't know. I said, so you call for these things, you know? Why do these things happen? They should not happen at all. When you leave your classes and you go for something else, that's what you get. That is the indiscipline. And all of us have a role to play, Sama. All of us have a role to play. This finger pointing is bad. Nobody should finger point. It is not the parents, it is not the children, it is not the school. But however, what we know is that education begins from home.
And what are some of the measures taken so far by the ministry in order to avoid a replica of some of these acts of indecency and indiscipline in the future in the secondary education sector?
We are going to take some measures, there's no doubt about it. The first thing we have done is that we have looked at existing measures up till now done by my predecessors, and then we're updating them. And now I decided also to get the lawmakers, that is the women. That's why I was with the women yesterday. I said, okay, let's throw it to the lawmakers, you know, and raise that awareness. We cannot wait for the white man to come and solve our problems. We cannot wait for others, external, those solutions cannot come externally. We should be able to deal with our problems. Make laws for the moment. If they work, they work. If they don't work, you will change them.
Thank you so much for always accepting to be a guest, Professor Nalova Lyonga. We remind our viewers that you are the Minister of Secondary Education. Thanks very much for being a guest.
Thank you, Sama, for coming.
Et dans la suite de ce journal, on parle sport. Les requins bleus au menu des lions indomptables. Le Cameroun affronte vendredi prochain le Cap-Vert. C'est dans le cadre des éliminatoires de la CAN Total 2021. La rencontre va se disputer à Praia. Il sera 17h à Yaoundé. L'équipe d'Antonio Conceição aiguisait ses griffes à Douala. Elle quittera la capitale économique dans les prochaines heures pour le Cap-Vert. Retrouvons sur place Monique Félicité-Chuen. Bonjour Monique. Alors, quelle est l'ambiance qui prévaut en ce moment dans la tanière?
Bienvenue ici à Douala. Nous sommes dans le QG des Lions Indomptables au Starland Hotel. Ils sont rentrés de leur ultime séance d'entraînement qui s'est déroulée cette matinée sous une fine pluie. Les 26 Lions Indomptables se portent très bien. Vous le savez, tout à l'heure, ils vont donc prendre le vol pour le Cap-Vert. 25 Lions seront dans cet avion, à l'exception de Zambo Anguissa qui restera ici en attendant le match du 30 mars prochain contre le Rwanda ici même. L'atmosphère est calme, quelques femmes inconditionnelles qui sont là, la police, la gendarmerie a été renforcée, les mesures barrières également, et nous nous rapprochons comme ça tout de suite de quelques fans qui sont à nos côtés. Bonjour, vous êtes là pour supporter les Lions.
L'atmosphère, il y a la densité du football camerounais.
Et voilà, ils sont là, toujours là, prêts à supporter leurs Lions indomptables. Et bien sûr, cette rencontre sera suivie en direct sur la CRTV. Ici, les Lions vont partir d'un moment à l'autre et nous n'avons plus qu'un mot à leur souhaiter, c'est bien sûr bonne chance. Bonne CRTV.
With the fans there that always support the Lions to victory. Let's now talk feature page, which is a visit to Gidigis, a locality in Mayokane, Far North region. The area is struggling to develop itself, and its Lamido, His Majesty Aliyu, is collaborating with municipal authorities for this purpose. Here is the postcard of Gidigis with Ayub Jonasho.
Gidigis, a flagship locality of Mayokane Division, is also one of the breadbaskets of the Far North region. The first-class traditional ruler of Gidigis has been working alongside municipal authorities and government officials to better the welfare of the population still faced with the scarcity of some basic social needs.
We need roads, potable water, health services, education, and the rest we follow.
Cognizant of the primordial role of the Council within the context of effective decentralization in fostering local development, the 25 councillors of the CPDM-run Gidigis Council have voted the sum of over 1 billion CFA francs as the Council's budget for 2021. The mission of raising this lump sum and attaining a marked project is incumbent on Mayor Amadou Buba Aji and his executive in their inaugural mandate.
We will undertake education, health and economic activities to improve on the welfare of the population.
As supervisory authority, the SGO for Mayokani, Damian Owono, has prescribed team spirit and the frugal management of the Council's resources for meaningful development.
Cette carte postale de Gidigis que nous réformons cette session d'information au nom des équipes techniques et rédactionnelles. Merci de nous avoir suivis. Emmanuela, je vous retrouverai demain avec un égal plaisir.
Exactly, Mohamed. See you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Remember to keep safe. COVID-19 is ravaging.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.